Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Greatness Engineering Hour show. Today, we're staying home. We're staying in Australia, but we're going to Melbourne. Our guest today, and we're going to talk about how she has been able to build a career in a male dominated environment. Yes, it is a woman. Yes, it is a woman engineer. She's also a speaker. She's a coach as well. And she has a lot, to share today, tips on how to manage not only her career, but to manage her own young family, which is a challenge for a lot of women. So we'll be very happy to hear what she has to say and what she can advise to any of the women that are actually in the same in the same who live the same situation. And I know that you're going to learn a lot from her, so make sure you have something to write on and something to write with, because there's going to be a lot shares, tools, strategies. And as you know, we women sometimes have to manage chaotic situations. And I'm quite curious to know how, because I've been in the same boat before. I'm happy that it was a long time ago. So I'm really curious to know how she's been able to find her own way, because at the end of the day, it is about us, and how as every single one of us manage how we our careers, but also our family. Just to give you a little bit about her. So that's Brenda Denbesten. I hope I'm not butchering her name. She will have the opportunity to rectify later on. And like I said, we're going to talk about advancing our career in a male-dominated environment. And a little bit about Brenda. She is, like I said, an engineer, and she does fly in, fly out. So that's not easy. But she my son. So I was saying that Brenda is a chemical engineer. She has over 16 years experience in the mining and manufacturing industry. And she's also she have worked for different company, including the government, so the federal government of Australia. And she combined expertise as career management, and she empower women in STEM. So we will hear about her. I'm not going to tell you more. Just come in, get ready, and we will start with Brenda. And I can guarantee you will learn quite a lot from her. So let's go. Let's have Brenda with us now. Welcome to another episode of the Greatness Engineering Hour show, the show that is brought to you by the Birai Telekima Global Leadership Organization.
Real is important is if you just look at the word compassion, when it's behavior, it's something that can be learned, and it is something that we can embody through habits and through our daily actions.
To get this idea that if we interject this wisdom intentionally, I call them needle movers. It's the needle mover that's missing.
Don't deprive the world of your greatness. Please. Don't do that anymore. Dare to excel, dare to be sexy, dare to be you, dare to be the best version of yourself. Impact yourself positively, and from there impact others. And you are not alone.
So, welcome, Brenda, to the Greatness Engineering Hour show. It's a pleasure to have you. I'm excited to learn from you today and see, how you manage being a mom, being an engineer, being a coach, being, a speaker, and also, in a way, being just you. And that's really what we're going to discuss today. But before we reach this point, I just want you to add to what I've already said, or rectify whatever is been said, and just after that we can start our conversation.
Thank you so much for having me, Mireille. You didn't botch anything up. You said the same name very well, Brenda Denbesten. I'm a chemical engineer with 16 years experience in the mining and manufacturing industry. I pride myself in being an advocate for women in STEM because as an engineer, we don't see enough women around here. It's a typically male-dominated environment, particularly in mining and manufacturing. I really want to increase the spotlight on what we do in this industry and why we need more women, just like you, who may be listening in our show today or may come across this in the course of time. So I'm also a speaker who shares information like this around the engineering platform. I have got a book which I've written, which is the FIFO Wives Tales, which covers information about living in a FIFO lifestyle, both as myself and also as a wife to a husband who is in the FIFO world. So I think we'll be covering a lot of juicy information today in this show, really.
Yeah, I can imagine, and that's why I was really excited even when I was preparing the show. And one question that I have, because we don't see a lot of women in mining, or even now a little bit more in oil and gas. So just wanted to know what actually led you to choose this career, to choose to be in this male dominated industry.
Yes, very good question. So originally, I had no intentions of being in this industry. I joined chemical engineering when I was 18, after I'd finished doing maths, chemistry, and physics in high school. I asked a few of the girls in my class what they were going to do, and one of them said she was going to be a chemical engineer. I said, what do they do? And she said, well, they make products and they run factories. So I was like, oh, that sounds cool. Maybe I could work with L'Oreal one day. So originally, my love for cosmetics and my love for makeup and shoes made me think this is a great idea to be a chemical engineer. But however, when I came to Australia, which was where I did my studies, in the third year, you essentially have to do your ship. And there weren't any pharmaceutical companies, there weren't any cosmetic companies that were offering internships to students at that time. There was some water industry, there was a food industry, but there was quite a lot of mining opportunities. So I thought, let me see what this mining is all about. And that's really where the love for mining started. I went in there, did my 3 months of vacation work at a gold mine in Orange. And I loved the fact that I was able to turn dirt into gold. I was able to improve the recoveries in the system. And I just thought, wow, this is amazing that the mine can dig up some dirt. It can come through to the process end. You do a few bits of intensive processing, but then out of the end comes this cool gold bullion. And so since then, I have worked in copper and gold and uranium mines, and now in a coal mine. So that's where
Yeah.
the love for mining began.
Yeah, and that's and that's what I always tell people when myself I started in the oil and gas industry, not knowing anything. I always tell people, for me it was love at second sight. So it was not love at first sight. I discover love, while after being in the industry, and I think that's probably what you had as well, right? And I love how you describe it. It's a turning dirt into gold, and that's a key thing. But obviously when you start, you all with all the energy and a lot of enthusiasm, and you come with your dreams, but there are challenges. So what have been your key challenges, in not only in mining, but also working, having only men around you? how did you navigate all of this?
Yes. So, look, to be fair, there's been lots of men around me for the whole duration of my career. So, even as I started in chemical engineering, I wasn't aware that it was such a low participation rate for women. And actually, chemical engineering had about 8 female students out of 40. So that wasn't too bad a percentage comparative to the electrical, mechanical, and other engineering streams. So right from the get-go, it was a bit of a man's world, to be fair. But I didn't really look at that as a hindrance. I looked at it as my journey. I was there. I wanted to pursue a dream, and this was my way to get there. I had to finish my degree. I had to go into the workplace and make a way. So in that aspect, I still pursue dreams. But then it's quite challenging when you're in an environment where you have role models to see how do I navigate my way, what can I wear in these industries, is it appropriate for me to speak up and answer questions right now? You see the men were just very boisterous, very loud, seemed very competent, very confident, whereas for myself I was like, oh, do I know the answers? Is it right if I if I put my hand up for questions, what if my answer is wrong, what if it's incorrect? There's a real fear of not being right, because I think throughout school we focus on being right a lot of the time. We focus on getting good grades, we focus on getting good marks, you focus on getting above 80% for your assignment. And in the workplace, you don't really know, you don't really gauge, nothing's really being graded anymore, the similar way to what's been happening in school. So I think that's where I really was seeking mentorship and seeking a role model in a woman who would demonstrate what that looks like in a workplace. And to be fair, for the first 5 or so years of my career, I was sort of just floating and hoping and doing what I thought was right, until I finally got my first mentor to really show me the way. So I think that the challenges were not having people that looked like me around, not only being an African lady, but also being a female. And then also being afraid to speak up, being afraid to get things wrong, being afraid to make mistakes. And we work in hazardous environments, so making mistakes is not is not a full option. So these are the things that I was challenged with.
And that's good that you mentioned the fact that you were not finding anybody that looks like you, so it was basically stopping you to be you in that environment that was so different with only men, and those men were so confident. And that's where and I like the fact that you mentioned coaching, because it is important. And I've seen so many women come with the same the same feeling, the same fear, the same not being confident to raise our hands when we want to say something, because we really want to be perfect before we say something or before we ask something, that we don't realize that sometimes you don't really need to be perfect. And we see that with the boys, they just raise their hand, even if they're not ready, they will figure it out all the way. And for us women, you're like, no, I'm not ready yet. I need to to do this program again, or I need to ask another person. And then when I'm 100% ready, that's when I go. And we get left behind. If we don't get this coaching, if we don't get this mentoring, and we get frustrated, and that's the key problem. And then comes for us who become mom, another level of challenge. So how, because you have a young family, and you still doing sometime traveling around the country. So how do you manage that? And what are do you have a support system? How does it work for you?
Yes, you bring up some really good points, and I just want to tease out again. Like, perfection is a big one for us as women, and I think really perfection is hard to ever attain. And by the time you've attained, it's probably too late. You've probably missed out on a whole lot of opportunities. So really, my new mantra is progress over perfection. And progress means taking action on the day, taking daily action towards your goals. So I think that really becomes a key mantra for me, even as I've become a mum. Progress over perfection is a very key thing, because when you've got children, it adds a very big spanner in the works. You've got people to look after now, you've got people to nurture. The mental load is also much more, what should I say, unavailable, because you're thinking about the house, you're thinking about clothes, you're thinking about laundry, you're thinking about all the extracurricular activities that come with raising a family. So how I've had to navigate this is to really be quite intentional about the support systems that I have around me. And for those of the people on the phone who follow me on LinkedIn, I like to post life with young kids, going in and out of the workplace, so people can sort of see and have some visibility about that. But I think one of the important things is who you select as a partner. Now, this person has to be someone who is really ready to support you, someone who sees eye to eye with how to navigate looking after a family, managing care, whether that's just simply doing the dishes or making meals, helping around the house. Like, it's quite a big thing. I've got an Australian husband, so sometimes culturally it can make a difference what your partner does and what they believe their role is in the household. So that has really been a key pillar in my life as a mum and as a woman wanting to continue to pursue a career as well after kids. So that has really been the key thing. We moved to Melbourne. We used to live in South Australia, then we moved to Newcastle, and now we live in Melbourne simply because we're closer to some family support. My husband's family live here in Melbourne. So really having them there is great. And my mother-in-law, she's fantastic. She loves to look after the kids, and she's a really good support system. So that's really one of the key pillars. The second one is also being open and honest with your line managers and really allowing them to understand, look, I've got a family, I'd like to work from home. I think the pandemic has obviously opened up a few more doors for us to be flexible in that way. So really being able to negotiate some times where you can be at the house and present, and then also be on site. So communication. That's really one of my key secrets is to talk about what I need, what sort of support, what does support look like, what does good look like. Maybe I've had a bad night's sleep, and I need some additional support. Asking for help is a really big key to work through these times.
And it's important. It's very important asking for help, because we women, we want to do everything. We want to, we want to be good moms. We want to be good in the office. We want to take care of everyone. And then we realize we can't, and we really have to rely on a support system. Make sure we still show people that we are vulnerable. We need help, at some point. We can't do it on our own, and we need to ask. And that's, I think, that's where a lot of, the coaching in our, male-dominated industry is important. Like you said, you have to be open to your and honest to your line manager, so they understand, what are the challenges that you go through, and address them with you, so that you can bring the best for the at work, and deliver what needs to be delivered. And that's an important step in all of this. But since we're talking about coaching, and supporting women, what one of the, because you also coach, and you empowering women in STEM. For those who are not in the science industry or technology, it's stand for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So what are the key things that you've seen so far that women need to really get to the next level, and start to progress in those male dominated industry? Because what I've seen so far is that we are very competent. We have the skills, we have the everything, but we get stuck in the middle. And somebody like me, I had to basically get out of corporate to create what I call my own table, so that I could actually go somewhere, but I got stuck. So what do you think can be done, and especially for the woman, what they can, look at and influence, because whatever it's not into the cycle of influence is difficult to change. So what do you think is important?
Yes, you've raised some great points there around women having to become visible and to carve their career paths. And I think really it's about taking ownership of their careers. I think a lot of times women want to be saved in a way, or are hoping that there's systems in place that will recognize them, that will see them, and that will see their parts being accelerated up the ladder. But really what we need to be doing is to take ownership of our careers. We really need to become, essentially take the driver's seat in our careers. So too long we've been in the passenger seat wondering, hey, why is our career crashing? Why are we being derailed? Really, I encourage all my clients to get in the driver's seat, understand what I want out of my career. What does it look like for me? Do I want a technical career where I'm getting deep into my chemical engineering or whatever industry you may be in, whatever department? Or do you want to seek out management? Do you want to seek out management in a people space? What does that need you to look to do? Do you need to become, do you need to have experience in the operational environment first? Do you need to put your hand up for a secondment? What are the key things that will need you, that you need to tick off essentially to get to the top or to get to your destination in 5 years? So really having a bit of a vision of where you want to go first of all, and then looking for the people that are going to support you to achieve that vision. So definitely your line manager is one of the key people that you need to be engaging, right? They need to understand, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? What are the current gaps from you getting there? And what do we need to do to close that gap? Right? So they need to be your cheerleader. They need to be the people that are, first of all, finding situations that can help you demonstrate your skills in that area, so that once it's time to select people who are in that talent pool, your name will be the ones that will be on their tongue and on their lips. And really, you want to make this easy and smooth for not only your line manager, but other interdepartmental leaders, peers of your line manager, people at the level above you as well. And how you can do this is to talk about what you've been doing, right? So I think it's very different again from the school curriculum where you do an assignment and the teacher signs, and gives you your 80%. You smile at your assignment. In the workplace, people need to hear about what you've been doing. And for the way they hear about it is by you talking about it. And I think a lot of women often shy away from talking about their work, talking about the impact. But it's really an important and necessary step. What have you been doing? What part did you play in it? What strengths did you use? What skills did you use to acquire, that result? And how is that result relevant? Particularly strategically, is it aligned to your goals? Which KPIs of the company is this solving? And why are you the best person who should get the next promotion? So finding ways to tease that out in conversations with your line manager, with your peers, those in other departments will get you very, very far.
And there's a lot that you've shared here, but I think the key thing is to take ownership, because I've seen so many women waiting to get identified for a position or for a project, and it never happened because nobody knows what you want. So they basically think that you're not interested. So it's important that you raise your hand and you explain, to your supervisor or people in the team, whoever you want to work with, what you want and how they can help you. You have to get this clarity yourself, and then
Yes.
people can come in and help you. So that's the most important thing. So I've seen that there are few people. There are no question today. So there's Shirley. Shirley is watching from Nigeria. Hi, Shirley. Thank you very much for tuning in. And then there's Christophe, but I don't know where Christophe is watching from. I'm pretty sure he must be he speak French. So I don't know, maybe in France or Francophone Africa. Let us know, Christophe, where you're watching from. And we're going to have a break, and we will be back with Brenda to know a little bit more, on a journey working in the male-dominated environment of mining and manufacturing, and also how she balanced that with raising her family and doing other things, because she has other activities. So don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. We will be back in few minutes. So we are back. We are back with Brenda. If you're joining us, my guest today is Brenda Denbesten, and she is based in Melbourne, Australia. And we're talking about how to navigate, the industry, the male-dominated industry, progressing, in male-dominated industry as as a woman. And also we want to understand, Brenda did it herself and how she managed it, and learn from her, especially for all those women who are actually trying right now. Learn from her how we can also emulate, or how use some of the tips and advice that she's sharing today. So I mean, like I said, you're doing many things. You have a book coming in, you have a chronicle series that you do on YouTube. So tell us a little bit about it. How do you fit all of this, your time management and your organization? How does it go for you? you know
That's a very good question. I think I'm a multi-passionate individual. Some of
Mhm,
us are graced with being very energetic, and I think I'm one of those
mhm,
people very passionate about these causes. So it doesn't feel like it's work to me. But
mhm,
what I did was I identified that there was a gap.
mhm,
Women weren't understanding what was happening. Whenever I said I'm a chemical engineer, they're like, "What do you do?" So
mhm,
I always
mhm,
had to explain. Oh, look, I work in the mining industry. I've also worked with bombs or making ammonium nitrate. Sounds exciting when
mhm,
you say I work with bombs, but blasting and explosives for for construction and the mining industry.
mhm,
So the Chronicles series, it's called Chronicles of a Female Engineer, and really what it was doing was highlighting what a typical day in the life of an engineer can look like. What happens when you're on site? What happens when you're flying in and out of a mine site? What happens when you're pregnant? I think I've got an episode called Five Things I Didn't Know About Being Pregnant as an Engineer, where I talk about my first pregnancy, in fact, which was 4 years ago. And I really talk about things that people won't know, and people may come across and like, how do I find this out, so it's really
mhm,
sharing some of my insights into the industry, what type of safety boots you should wear, what type of things you can wear to work, those sort of things that maybe you're not going to really find out in a 4-year engineering degree. So some of those more
mhm,
practical
mhm,
tools and tips, and also about how to get ahead once you're here. How can you be successful? How can you select mentors? Do you need a mentor? What is the point of that? The importance of coaching. So those
mhm.
are the reasons why I was called to start the Chronicles of a Female Engineer. I think there's about 36 episodes. I need to get back and record fresh episodes into there. But
Mhm, mhm,
that is definitely available. And I've got a community on Facebook called the Chronicles of a Female Engineer Facebook group, where essentially about things in more detail. People come in, ask questions about the industry, ask questions about, what's the difference in a product engineer and a project engineer and a chemical engineer, and those sort of things that people may not get the answers to on a typical environment.
And it's important, and that's why I called my show the greatness engineer, because we everybody's an engineer, because we always think that engineering is just for technical industries, or anything around science, but we engineer our life, we engineer our time, we engineer so many things. And whatever you teach in those chronicle are actually something that you will encourage any woman to actually go and listen, because even if they're not in STEM, they are engineering things in their life. They engineer the life of their children, they engineer everything. So we are all engineers, and hopefully, we, while we're doing that, we're getting the best out of ourselves, and we're becoming the best that we can be. And that's what I call greatness. And just to for to continue in this conversation, I just wanted to ask you, as you go through those chronicles, what do you think is actually bring the attention, take the attention of the woman that you've seen so far
Look, so I think
coming in your
what's
groups,
taken.
or Mhm.
Yes.
Go
So
ahead.
I
Yeah.
think the key thing that women are looking to do is to boost their confidence. There's this thing called imposter syndrome, which I think people have perhaps heard of. And imposter syndrome is that feeling of being a little bit of a fraud. It's when you question your expertise, you question, do I belong here? Yes, you've done your 4-year engineering degree. Yes, you've maybe even had 5 or sometimes even 10 years experience, but you start a new role, you start a new job in a new industry, and you ask yourself, do I belong here? Do I know my stuff? And you see lots of people continuing to go back into maybe getting a master's degree or getting some sort of extra certificate to just maybe encourage and reiterate to themselves that they know what they're talking about. But that's a real thing that I always like to encourage my women. Yes, you know what you're talking about. Yes, you have got something valuable to add. Yes, your perspective matters. And all you need to do is speak up about it, right? If you want to, it's that odd one about courage and confidence. People think that confidence just arrives, but really courage is the important one first. You need courage first to step out. You need courage to speak up. You need courage to ask the question. And as you continue to do that, to take steps of courage, then the confidence arrives, and imposter syndrome will disappear. So I love to encourage women to continue to just get a journal. I call it a brag binder, a brag folder, and to list in there the achievements that they've had in their life, things that they are proud of, moments that they celebrated, and to remind us, because I think oftentimes it's very easy to remember the bad things in life. It's very easy to remember the challenges. It's very easy to remember what went wrong. But it's very easy to forget the good stuff. It's very easy to forget. Actually, I managed to overcome a very critical safety event. I managed to lead a team of 30 operators, male operators, who were all older than me. So those sort of things, you want people to be jotting down, reminding themselves that actually I do hard things. I'm able to achieve. At one point, I didn't know how to manage 30 people, but I've done it now. So really, there's evidence for yourself of what you've achieved in your life, so you can remind yourself when imposter syndrome starts to knock. You can say, hey, I do hard things. I can work this out. I can get support. I can ask for help, and I can make a way. So yes, that is
It is important to put the record. Yeah, it is important, and we don't do it well as women. We do a lot, but we don't sit down and put the record, because that's, even when we work on project, that's the trail. You need to
Oh,
have the
yes.
trail, so that when you go and negotiate, when to ask something, the trail is there. Nobody can actually challenge that. It's there. You deliver the project. You've done it. You've led, like you said, you've led a team of 30 people. You manage, a safety occurrence. So it's there. Use it, as a tool, as for you to negotiate your next step, or to talk to your supervisor, to ask a promotion. It is very important. And I think sometime, and I've been guilty of doing it myself at the beginning, we go a lot with our own emotions, and we forget that this is a professional environment. We should focus on result and the value that we bring, because that's really what can talk for us, and that's what people can't challenge, because if you come with your emotion, they can always challenge you on that. But if you come with the result, and you bring value to your team, to your company, there's nothing they can challenge, and sometimes they even forget that you are a woman, because everybody's benefiting from it. So it's an important, very important step. So, I mean, what led you to write the book, on the FIFO wife, because sometimes, like I said, we're women, we just do what we have to do, and then we just continue, especially now with your young family. What led you to go, and write a book on that?
Yes, so I think there was definitely a need. Like, I think if you are in these Facebook groups, in these mining communities, you see a lot of women asking questions. What is it like to be a FIFO in a FIFO environment? Is it safe for us as women? What's involved? What do I need to pack in my bag? How come, do I need, is there anything special about the water on the mine site? And yes, all these answers are very much a secret squirrel until you've actually been involved in it. And really, there was a call out for many women to understand, how do we navigate when our partners are FIFO partners, and we're staying at home perhaps with the kids, and we're worried, is there infidelity issues? Is there, are they going to be okay mental health wise? How can they be supported? So there was a lot of questions that were being asked, and the opportunity was presented to me. So the book has got about 20 women's stories in the book. And there was over 300 women who actually applied to be involved in that book.
Wow.
So it was quite a prestigious honor to be involved in that. And I wanted to just share my experiences, because I was, I suppose, special in that I had been in the industry, as well as having been a partner with my husband in the industry. So I simply shared what it's like to fly in and out each week. I had an 8 days on and 6 days off roster. So I spoke about that, spoke about what you had to pack, spoke about trying to make friends with people in a small town, because you don't really know anyone there, but everyone else is in a similar environment. How do you still showcase what you're up to, and how do you then come back and have 6 days off when your friends are working and only have 2 days on the weekend? So it's like you're living this nice life where you're only working half a year, but then your friends are still working the normal life. How do you maintain friendships? How do you make use of your extra time, excess time, which make you feel like it's excess time? And also, it's quite a lucrative industry, because people think, you've got high pay because it's quite long hours. You work 12-hour shifts. So I remember I used to wake up at 4:30, get ready for breakfast at 5, get on a bus, go to work, start at 5:45, and then finish at 6 and come back. So it's quite a long day. It's lucrative, but you pay a price in some way.
Exactly.
And even though the pay is high, I found that I was always going away on a little holiday here or there, or going shopping, so there wasn't too much savings. So it's an interesting conundrum, because it's a glorified industry, but there's things that you need to be aware of and take into account. So very interesting reading the collection of stories.
Hmm. Yeah, and saying as soon as you get out, you're like crazy. You go and shop everywhere, and it's like you're coming from prison or something, and you want everything. So it's
Yes.
and I had that when I started in the oil and gas industry. I was in the bush, and for a week or two, and then when you come back, you're like you like you want everything, and all that you actually gain by going there, you just spend. So that's something to really look out. I mean, I wanted to ask you, just like me, my husband was I met my husband in the industry. Do you think it made it a bit more easier to manage the family? Because as soon as you had the children, sometimes it can be very difficult, and to be married to somebody who doesn't understand the industry, it can bring an additional challenge. Do you think that it has helped you as well, in not only in your progressing your career, but also getting the right balance, with your personal life and professional life?
Yes, that's a great question. In fact, I was in the industry for a while before I found my partner. So I think it was about 5 years of me living in that town before I met him. And really, it's quite interesting because you're surrounded by men, but then you feel like there's no man who's good enough to be to be your partner. So from that perspective, it was interesting because you're surrounded by options. There's lots of fish in the pond, but they weren't. It was difficult to find him, and I was happy to find him because he's a good one. But so yes, there's definitely a challenge. It's not a given that because you're surrounded by so many men, you'll find a partner. But yes, I think the fact that we're both in the industry, he understands what's involved. He understands what it looks like and what a typical day in the life can be. He's very much understanding of that, and I think that's what enabled me to go to site. So as recently as about 2 weeks ago, I was in Queensland, and I took my newborn, my 4-month-old, and we flew to Queensland and stayed at my sister-in-law's house, and I left my newborn with her. She's got 4 other kids. I left my son with her for just an overnight trip, and I went to the mine site and saw my team and my colleagues and met them. So really, it's a partner who understands what that environment is like, understands what's needed to happen. I think that actually made that process a lot smoother to manage. So I think it does make a difference if you're both in the industry, but it also made me realize that it's not a sustainable option for us both to be flying in and out. So right now my husband is on maternity leave or paternity leave, so he's home. But I don't think we could both be, in out in out. He does a week on, week off. So it was good for me to see how that can be managed. But I think if we wanted to both be flying in and out, we'd need some additional support, perhaps an au pair or a nanny who stays at home, to be a constant presence for the children.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and yeah, I find out that it is. It helps. Especially in a male-dominated environment, and with all the the challenges that it brings, to have a husband that understand those challenges, so that at home he understand how you feel, why, and what are the key gaps that still exist in the industry, and not helping you to actually be able to manage your family and the work. So it is helping. But as you said, I was laughing when you said that you're surrounded by men, but you find that you don't find, and it's so true, because you're just you're not among them, so you don't look at them as potential husband or potential boyfriend. You just look at them as men, and that's all happen. So we're gonna have our last break, and we come back for the last part of the show. And I just want to reiterate, for those watching, or those who are going to watch the replay, I hope you're taking notes. I hope you enjoying the conversation. And please, if you're watching the show later, don't hesitate to pop in your questions into the comment section, and then I will make sure that Brenda address them later. So, but for the time being, let's go for a short commercial and be back for the last part of the show. So we are back. We are back with Brenda, and there's one question that I love, asking my guests is about, the future. And, I'm going to ask you the question. So what is the legacy that you want to leave? Because, I heard that, you were saying, right now, whatever you do, it's not sustainable. And obviously you have, you have a vision, you have something that you're working towards. So what is the legacy that you want to leave, Brenda?
My legacy is really around empowering women. So I believe that women hold the key to unlocking a better future. And I think the key is through our voices. So I am always, always, always wanting to encourage women to use their voice, to speak up, to stand out, and to stand up and really be amazing, right? Amazing, amazing, amazing. Whether that's in STEM or whether that's just in their own life and their own passions that they want to pursue. I think that every single one of us is unique. And women, we've got a unique ability to think about everyone else, right? And yes, it can. You mentioned that we want to do everything and be everything to everyone, but that I think is a superpower because it enables us to have a big picture thinking. And I really want to be able to use my voice to unlock and empower other women to become their greatest selves. And whether that's in their careers, in their lives, emotionally, a lot of women come to me when they've got issues and roadblocks, and I help them push them out of the way. I help them remove those obstacles and pursue their best versions of themselves. So if anyone would remember me and my legacy, I'd love them to think about Brenda as the person who always made you feel that anything was possible for yourself. So, yeah.
Fantastic and powerful. And like you said, and sometimes we women, we don't realize the power that we have. We have power, and we need to understand how to unlock, this power, and to unlock this gift and this greatness that we have, and not keep it inside. Let's use our voices. Let's ask for what we want. Let's forget about serving everyone except ourselves. We need clarity about what we want. We need clarity about where we want to be, and we need clarity on how we can get the support, because that's, I think, the part that kills us. We don't want the support. Sometimes we have the clarity, we know what we want, but we want to do it alone. We'll not be able to do it alone. And I think one of while reading your bio, and when you were what you were writing in the registration is that if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So that's a strong message for women to understand that they need other women to get to become the best version of themselves. They can do it together. And that's an important step. So thank you so much, Brenda, for your time. I know how precious it is to be with us today. and to share, all those nuggets, and also, share your story in a way, and how you've been navigating being, an engineer and traveling, around the country while, maintaining a family life, children, a husband, and also I would put into the bucket, the in-laws as well, because there's also that part that you need to get right, because otherwise it can be very difficult. So how do people connect with you if they want to continue this conversation, or if they want to inquire about, the program that you have, for women in STEM, your coaching program, or speaking even? How do people connect with you?
Yes, yes, yes. So definitely, please come and connect with me here on LinkedIn. I'm very active. I love to see you in my DMs. I love to see your connections come through. So let me know that you have listened to the Greatness Engineering Hour show, and you've heard something that you've liked, some questions that I raised. You feel free to come in there and let me know, say hi, ask me for any services that you may seek support around. And you're so right. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. In your career, in your personal life, as a mum, we all need a village to support us. So I encourage you to seek that out, whether it's whether it's myself or whether it's other women that are in your community. Definitely seek that out.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. And for all the women who have a story, who can, stand as role model, don't stay quiet, be visible, come and help your sisters. And wherever you can, they can learn from your own experience. So share your story and make sure you are part of the sisterhood that is necessary for all of us to become the best version of ourselves. So thank you for everyone who is watching the show either live, or is going to watch the show later. I think it's quite early for a lot of the North American audience. I have a big North American audience, so they'll be able to watch the show later on. And I thank you all for supporting us. And as Brenda was saying, please, connect with her on LinkedIn if you want to continue this conversation. Obviously, 1 hour is a bit short to know everything about her and what she can offer. So make sure you connect directly with her, and she can, she can, explain a little bit more in detail, and explain how she can help you as well. So I will be back with another episode of the Greatness Engineering Hour show next week. Next week, we're going to have one of the co-author on the unshakable faith book. I'm one of the, I'm one of the feature author, and it is a book coming out in June, 23rd of June. And we're really excited about, sharing how, through unshakable faith, we've been able to become the person that we are right now. So you'll hear about another co-author next week. Until then, I wish you to have a great weekend. And Brenda, again, I'm so happy for you having grace, the Greatness Engineering Hour show platform. And I wish you all the best as you, you continue to leave your legacy and support, women to unlock, their gift, and to become the best version of themselves. Thank you so much for being with us today, and for the audience. See you next week.